Today we're going to be talking about the India EU trade deal that is going to be taking place on 26th January or Republic Day. Uh, we will be talking about the benefits, complications, and long term effects. Let's start. First of all, what is the India EU FTA? FTA is free trade agreement. Basically, two countries that can trade freely without any complications at all is called a free trade agreement. So the negotiations for it began in 2007. They stalled in 2013, partly due to the India EU separation because and also because of the US involvement. Currently in advanced stage, target completion end of 2025. Right now, the Modi government is trying to complete the whole FTA, India EU FTA, by the end of 2025, and it will be one of the greatest achievements of the Modi government. So, the India EU trade volume is greater than 190 billion. The goods trade is much greater than services trade, but the services trade is actually more beneficial to India because India is one of the highest exporters of IT professionals, of services to the EU. Now, for India and EU, why are they strategic partners? See, India is a huge country. It has a lot of agriculture, a lot of people, a lot of human resource. Whereas for EU, uh, it has a lot of culture, it has a lot of technology as compared to India. Now, see, India is a huge market that the rest of the world hasn't tapped into yet. So India is home to more than 1.6 billion people, and for EU, it is the best country to tap into right now because China has already grown a lot, and African countries are nowhere close to India right now. India has a good policy, like it is opening up right now, and it is the best opportunity for EU to tap in. Mm, guys, I'll show you a graph. Okay, so India EU trade volume has stayed consistent over the past few years, but after the FTA, it will grow by a lot. It is expected to grow by at least twice over a long period of time. What are the key benefits for India? So the potential to boost bilateral trade to 250 billion, like I told you. The trade has been around 135 billion right now. It will get almost double to 250 billion. Reduce tariffs on labor intensive reports, enhance market access for pharmaceuticals and IT services, and improve access for engineering goods and auto components. Indian cars are going to be exported a lot in the EU because companies like Mahindra and Tata are making really good cars right now, and like they are going to be sold for cheaper in the EU. India's export opportunities, as you can see in the screen. Benefits for the EU. Now, see, India is a huge market. So, as I told you, it is an untapped market. India is still a developing country, so there's a lot of progress to be made in the country. And as for the EU, India is in a strategic position that can help counter China as well as the Middle East. So it is a middle ground for both of them. EU export opportunities to India. Like India can, like EU can export a lot of things like aircrafts and parts like Dassault Aviation or like Airbus, wines and spirits, premium goods, exactly like designer brands. Negotiation process. 13 out of 23 chapters closed. So like a lot of work has been done, but some has to be resolved right now. It is in progress. Now, the primary complication, as I'll show you the primary complication here as well. Yeah, these are the complications as well. Now, first of all, this is the most important complication, like the biggest complication. The biggest thing is that the EU is very serious about its carbon footprint and impact on the world. India as a developing country does not put a lot of emphasis on it, but for the EU, carbon emissions, carbon tax has been a huge point of the discussion even in the elections. So the EU has created a new carbon tax on imports of steel, aluminum, and cement to fight climate change. The problem, Indian factories often use dirtier methods, so the products will be taxed more heavily. Impact, Indian steel and aluminum exports have become more expensive. This is one of the biggest complications for India. The second biggest complication, I would say, is the professional movement. We call it the brain drain. Okay, like Indians will get a much easier access to EU and they'll run there. Right now, a lot of people are constantly going to the UK, to the Germany, Italy, and they are improving their economy as compared to ours because the opportunities on India aren't as good as in the EU. I'll show you this rising India EU trade projections. Like there's a lot of untapped potential that is going to grow. So like putting your money into stocks right now would be a great choice. Like stocks that affect these basically these areas. All right, this is our graph, like what India EU FTA benefits, like the increase, like the sectors that will have the most benefits: textile and garments, pharmaceuticals, leather products, IT services, chemicals, engineering goods, auto components. Like I told you, auto components will actually see a very huge rise because the auto industry in India is a very huge like market that is set to grow because of two major players, Mahindra and Tata. Those two are making excellent cars right now, and I would say investing in their stocks, Tata Motors, Mahindra Motors, is going to be an excellent decision right now. Let's get back to our PPT. Yeah, so as I told you about the carbon barrier. Okay, complication two, agriculture and dairy. This is not actually a very big complication, but it is still a complication. The smaller sectors in India are going to be affected, like a lot of small scale farmers, and they they will have to compete with the foreign trade. The complication number three is NTB or non-tariff barriers, like it is the export on small things and all. Okay, IPR or intellectual property rights, this is not actually a big problem. This is just something that had to be made up because of the sake of problems. All right, this is the most interesting and most important part. See, uh, the the like the four major geopolitical challenges that India will be facing because of this. First of all, it is the Russo-Ukraine war. See, uh, India has a neutral stance on the war, and EU is seriously against Russia. They are opposing Russia since 3.5, 4 years, and they want India to side by them. They want India to side by Ukraine, but India gets a lot of a lot of exports and imports from Russia, the oil barrels, and a lot of minerals from Russia. So India right now has taken a great choice for the past 10, 10 years. Yeah, it has taken a neutral stance in this situation. Like the since the invasion of Crimea, India has been a very neutral country. It has had a neutral stance. Energy exports, this is the same that I told you. China factor, yeah. So India is growing closer to China. This is actually like slightly bad news for the EU because India China relations have been getting better over the past, I'd say, 6 7 months. Yeah. So the Western alignment. This is basically about the US situation right now. Donald Trump is a maniac. He's making the worst decisions possible right now, uh, but somehow it is working. The US economy is still growing, and I don't know how the people there are managing this. It's genuinely mind-boggling for all the financialists and the analysts in the world. So India could be a very big, like over the past few days, I just received a news, like I got a news on my phone that President Trump exposed uh, like his message with the French Prime Minister, and it angered him a lot. He told that he wouldn't like Donald Trump to come to his country. He won't be invited anymore. So Donald Trump is a very random. He's a maniac at doing things, but somehow he gets his way. So India and US already have a very complicated situation. Plus now the EU US situation is also deteriorating. So the India EU, like, it is a thing to counter the US as well. Long term effects, as you can see, it as you can see, the projected increase in bilateral trade will be huge. Long term effect, FDI, or foreign direct investment, it'll increase by a lot. And the supply of dollars into India will actually ensure that India has a good foreign reserve, and that it can go through tough times easily and not have to rely on other countries. Supply chain resilience, so like for EU, reduce China dependence. This is one of the most important reasons why EU is very heavily keen on this trade. Like, India does not make excellent products. India is not the top maker in, like, most of the things except pharmaceuticals. I don't think India is the top producer of anything except pharmaceuticals and agriculture. But still, India produce like India has a lot of potential. Like, it is an untapped market. So a lot of things can be done in this country to make it better. As for India, I told you, a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment, greater participation in GVCs, high-end EU technologies, a lot of aircrafts parts, like the Rafale that India received a few years ago. It has been great. Long-term effect for technology transfer and innovation, employment and economic growth. Both countries will have people going back and forth. Risk factor number one, trade deficit expansion. Now, India's previous FTA show faster import growth than export growth. India is a majorly import based country when it comes to stuff outside of agriculture and pharmaceuticals. India is a agriculture based economy. It is still a agriculture based economy. More than 60% of India is still employed in the primary sector. So as to change that, like, going to the third, like switching to the third tertiary sector is going to be a huge gain for India. Asian, Japan, South Korea FTA created wider deficits. Cheaper EU imports could flood Indian market and all. Risk factor number two, uh, automotive industry faces EU competition. A lot of EU companies like Citroen and BMW and Audi, they all could decrease their prices in India, and they will be competing against the medium sector, high luxury brands in India. Regulatory and compliance challenges. This is also like EU has a lot of complicated rules that maybe India will have to be very careful to need through it. All right. Okay, so now we're going to a conclusion. A transformational opportunity. So, basically, the deal with. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, the deal with EU is, to be honest, it's revolutionary. It's the best deal we have seen in years. It is going to increase India EU relationship by a lot. It is going to make it much better. Uh, India will have a sec. India will have India will have like, it can oppose US very easily through EU. India already had a great deal with the UK some months ago. It has been going great. And the future for India and EU trade agreement seems very bright. Modi government has done a lot, and I think this will decide India's future. Thank you so much. This is the end, and I'll end it now. Thank you so much for watching.